Paper.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, council members, citizens, TVA. I am Gary Morgan, a resident of Jackson County, and have concerns about the closing of Road 96 and TVA's overall plan for the area surrounding the Widows Creek coal-fired plant. I'm here not only representing myself as a concerned resident, but also as a member of several environmental watchdog groups. I am a local responsible officer for the Bellefonte Efficiency and Sustainability Team, Mothers Against Tennessee River Radiation, the local chapter of the Blue Ridge Environmental Defense League. I'm also a member of the Sierra Club, Southern Alliance for Clean Energy, Union of Concerned Scientists, Center for Health and Environmental Justice, the Alabama Environmental Council, and a volunteer water monitor for Alabama Water Watch. I'm the director of the Community Radiation Monitoring Project for Brettle Best Matter. There's some problems and facts. Now, I can certainly, concerning this area, I can certainly appreciate TVA's position. It's a tough position. The County Commission is in a tough position on this also, and so are residents. More important, the residents are in a tough position. We've been out there. We've monitored the water. There's some problems with the water out there. And of course, as with always, there's problems with the coal ash. This is nothing new. We all know this. And TVA is making an effort because of mandates and laws to close this down. And that's where we're at right now. I am concerned about some things, and so are other individuals concerned. One, that TVA has not fully described its intentions. I think now they're beginning to make an effort to do that concerning the road's closure as it relates to the coal ash remediation project. And of course, the big question is, what will the disposition of the bridge, road, and property be at the 10-year estimated remediation project end date? I mean, I take it from already the conversation, this is something that's open in the air. The TVA and the County Commission can talk about that. If the road is vacated, there is a water excess area that will be closed at North Widows Creek Road, 96 Bridge area. Now, that area of the creek is contaminated. There's been numerous fish advisories issued by the EPA, ADEM, that the stream is contaminated with mercury. And I've got some pictures here that there's debris on the side of the road. There's also barrels in the creek there. And somebody's got to clean this up, folks. Whether it be TVA, the county, the state, or somebody. But these barrels, there's a point source of contamination that's going in that creek as a result of dumping. Don't know who's dumping it. Some of the barrels are very old and have rotted through, but somebody needs to take responsibility and move that stuff out of the creek. I mean, it ain't going to get any better. And as long as there's dumping going on, maybe the TVA or the county can put some no dumping signs up there. Violators will be prosecuted, strongly prosecuted. I mean, it's ridiculous. It looks terrible. Now, I realize there's an old coal ash plant over there, but there's no reason to be, because there's a coal ash plant over there to the east, doesn't mean you got to destroy the waterway of Widows Creek. You know, that's just ridiculous, and the county and the TVA need to cooperate in ensuring that that area is not destroyed any more than what it is already. And I'm concerned about monitoring this area because of deceit. Now, I personally was told that photomicrographs, test results, and photographs that I took during the 2009 spill that, we don't know what Morgan took. That can't be coal ash, of course, as it turned out, or gypsum products. As it turned out, it was coal ash, and the coal ash was seen down here at Scottsburg from Widows Creek. And so it's important. We're concerned that if you close this road off, we want to be able to walk up there. There's no problem. Walking's good for you. We want to be able to walk up there and monitor not only the creek, but watch your activities in that coal ash. Understand the point of safety, that you have to have a safe operation. You cannot have folks in there that's going to create a hazard. But by the same token, we want to monitor and watch your work, what you're doing up there. Now, the TVA has purchased that 600 acres that you mentioned and have shown here. But I got to tell you, that's another area of concern, because in documents which the TVA has submitted, you have said that you're not going to do anything with that property other than turn it back to what it was prior to the TVA being involved in this area. And this is project number 2013-11, the demolition. Widows Creek Fossil Plant House Demolition Project. This is y'all's document. I got this off the web from Tarcog. And it specifically says here you're going to demolish the structures that was there. And you purchase the property, you're going to demolish the structures and then return it to its natural state. Nothing in there about moving earth or moving coal ash or moving gypsum products or moving anything. You don't mention that in this document. So basically it's what you're talking about. You're talking about a major environmental action and you don't have the required, you're not meeting, it would appear to me that you're not meeting NEPA requirements. So, you know, maybe there needs to be some more work done on that, but the most important thing is that the public be made fully aware of what your intentions are. That is what's most important. That you inform this county commission and that you inform the public via the media and press releases exactly what you're wanting to do in that area before you do it, and you do this far enough out. Now, I'm sure there's some other folks that has contacted Mr. Widener here that has some other ideas about that, about the road. I personally, as a resident, and this is outside my environmental group concerns, I personally believe as a resident that the people of Jackson County paid for that road. They paid for the bridge. If y'all are going to use it and want to exclusively use it for a period of time, then y'all ought to pay the people of Jackson County for the use of that roadway. And I think y'all ought to negotiate with Jackson County, and Jackson County ought to negotiate with TVA on that document that I have. But please make sure that you keep the public fully informed of what's going on in the future for Jackson County. Hey, y'all got to give the public notice when you have a public hearing, but I think everybody understands that now because there was no notice in the newspaper. So that's of this, and that's a requirement of the law. And even Mr. Kameyer mentioned that in his document he submitted here. So if everybody does what they're supposed to do, there won't be a problem. But sometimes that doesn't quite happen, and there are problems. But I appreciate the TVA. Y'all do a wonderful job in keeping the power on. We have some differences of opinion on some issues about our environment, but that's okay too. So thank you for your time.
Thank you, sir. Thank you. Mr. Donnie Thompson.
My name's Ronnie Thompson. I live in the Widows Creek subdivision. I'm here on behalf of my family, my wife, and myself, my son. We live at the top of the hill, and we come down across the bridge up to 96 to go to work. That's our biggest concern, is going to work. My wife, she works at Park Ridge in Chattanooga, and she goes that way, and then, you know, she leaves early in the morning and she comes at late at night. So she has a long way to travel anyway. So if she has to go another way, it'll be a lot of extra miles out of her way to go to work to and from. And I work in Bridgeport myself. So, and a lot of our family, my father-in-law and family lives there. So that's how we go back and forth. But our main thing is work, you know, and have to go out of the way to get back and forth. So we would like to, you know, everybody to take that into consideration. I understand, I've learned a lot talking here to the TVA and understand their safety concerns. But, you know, I'd like to take that into consideration too. So we would have to go down and then come back up Old 72 to go, especially for my wife. So my thoughts on it is if we could just keep it open would be the best solution for us. But understand, you've got to look at the big picture. I would like to throw this out there for the commission and TVA. I don't know if it's a possibility I'm not sure when the hours are going to be when they're doing the work. If you could temporarily close the road off, and then when the work is done, possibly remove the barriers for the residents. Because, you know, I don't know how everybody else's situation is. Like, say my wife leaves at 4 o'clock in the morning. There's not going to be work from TVA at that point in time. She could go through there. She gets off at 7 o'clock. She can come down that road. My son goes to school, Bridgeport Middle School. You know, I could go take him back and forth that way, but, you know, during the work hours, if it was going to be at that time. But so I don't know if that's keeping it open would be the best solution, but I understand you have to compromise sometimes. So I'd like to throw that out there. I don't know if that would work with TVA or not. So I understand you got to keep safety in the trucks going back and forth. There may be other options for a compromise for the residents and for TVA. I would like to thank the commission and give me a chance to speak my opinion, and TVA also.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Mr. Compton?
Mr. Hodges. I'd like to, sorry, if I could maybe ask a few questions, make a couple of comments, and then make a statement maybe.
If you could, we'll take the question. If you
Well,
note
it was
them
just
down
like for
and-
TVA.
Right, they can take that down, and afterwards we'll have them answer any questions that come up.
Well, like maybe the gentleman said that, 10 to 15 years and they own the property on both sides. I mean, wouldn't it be more logical just to build you a bridge? I mean, y'all built one across the creek from one side to the other. If you're down there, it would, it's our money anyway. But anyway, another thing about the car count at the bridge, I lived off down on 96 for several years and traveled it quite frequently, maybe 6 to 8 times a day probably. And I found the car count to probably be real inaccurate for the simple reason that the railroad and TVA didn't care to block the road. I probably called the railroad and TVA, I'd say 400 times. The sheriff's department, the public works. Unfortunately, it seems like nobody down around the neighborhood down there cares about their neighbors. So, I'm not here to say anything bad, but anyway, Mr. Morgan made a comment, the gentleman from TVA about the bridge not going to be used. Well, unfortunately, the bridge is being used quite often by your contractors. Also, over on 255 that you may or may not have anything to do with, but they destroyed our little county road. So, anyway, take the bridge into consideration. That'd probably be the best option for everyone involved. By the way, I am Courtney Kaufman. Thank you, Matthew, for this opportunity, and commissioners, thank y'all. I'm here this evening to ask that the County Road 96 be left open to the traveling public. Yeah, it would probably save Jackson County some monies, but I believe it would be more beneficial for the communities that commutes from the Snowford and Baldry communities to Bridgeport, and for the parents of children who travel back and forth to have to attend North Jackson High School. I think it would be sad to see that elected county officials give a perfectly good road to TVA. For what reason? Just to my knowledge, in the last few years, the county upgraded the piers at the Witters Creek Bridge. Unfortunately, the local residents are not allowed to fish around that bridge because the TVA security runs them off. But why did we spend that money to reinforce the piers if TVA would have told us what was coming? But anyway, I remember when Mr. Buttram was the chairman of the commission a few years back, TVA took control of a good portion of County Road 255. That's the one they're destroying what's left of every day. I think the communities were of the understanding it would be relocated. What's left of County Road 255 is being traveled virtually every day by heavy trucks. I'm not an environmental activist, nor am I a brain surgeon, but doing business or having business negotiations with TVA in pursuit of closing County Road 96 would be detrimental to the health and well-being of our future. One reason I say this is because of their remarks and comments only to let their actions speak for themselves. Just as the Rotary Club lunch in its speech of cranking Buffon up to find out later it's on the back burner. It seems to me as a property owner who connects property with TVA, let me assure you from my standpoint, they're no good neighbor. I say that because of the headlines of the Chattanooga Times Free Press, where they were fined at TVA Wooded Creek Phosphat for violations of the Air Pollution Control Act. For what reason? The dollar that was not even spent in Jackson County. As far as being a neighbor, they didn't even holler across the fence to tell me or warn me they were going to pollute my property. But I don't guess it mattered, because they probably went up and maybe painted a bathroom at the elementary school. I'm not saying every TVA employee is not a good person or people, but I think their leadership and tactics are questionable. County Road 96 has been around a whole lot longer than TVA, and I hope it is here after this commission is gone. In the last several years, the North Jackson area has lost several landmarks, including North Jackson Hospital, the Bridgeport Ferry, and not to mention Bridgeport High School. I ask y'all not to be like past advocates and cut us off again. Thank y'all.
Mr. Porter, TVA. I'd like to have the young gentleman to show me on this map here a little bit what you were talking about, where you were going to turn around.
I live in a house subdivision in Bridgeport. I travel County Road 96 quite often. And I'd like for the commission to go back and check when the Collins Farm was bought, where this slurry storage facility is now, and see if the agreement went back then to build another road further up. When they closed that road, it went through there from what's now County Road 255 to 56. When I believe if TVA ever closed this road, we'll never be